Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is August 3rd, 2023, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets take a dive after following some downgrades. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So at 1 o'clock South African time out of Great Britain, we have an official bank rate decision coming out. Now, also today, we have corporate earnings season continues, and this is the latter part of it, where we got some big tech names coming out, including Apple, Amazon, and Alibaba, publishing their quarterly reports. Now, looking at the various markets going into today's session, we're watching the Forex symbols. The U.S. dollar strengthens versus the major pairs, and as we look at the indices, both the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ take a dive. Now, looking at commodities, gold trades lower, and so does oil. Now, looking at the stocks, tech stock were the ones that got beaten the worst after downgrades. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin remains unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to start with the Euro USD, and it continues to trickle. Now, we did think that it was going to hold this 109.64-ish level, but it did break it. Now, it's not a big break, but it did break it. So the next real level is 108.30-ish level. If you look at a daily chart, a little bit clearer there, because you can see that that breaking was significant because it was a minor supportish level at that 109.86-ish level. And so as we're continuing to slide, 108.40-ish level is that next stop on the down side. Now, this is going across the board where we're watching the dollar strengthen. Now, looking at the GBP USD ahead of today's official bank rate decision, it did continue to sell off versus the dollar, just like the euro. So nothing really surprising here. Now, the Australian dollar is the one that has gotten beaten up the worst. Now, we did follow up on this the other day as it came out with a interest rate decision as well. Now, we're getting to that 65.10-ish level where it becomes a little bit more attractive on the buy side. At least for now, doesn't look like it's going to break that 75.10-ish level. So this does look more and more attractive as it gets to the supportish area. Now, jumping into commodities, looking at gold, also trickled down to 1932. Now, this is significant. Is it? Well, it's been trickling down and broke that 30-day moving average. So, yeah, it is significant, and especially since we're looking to cross over here, and you see that crossover in the MACD where that blue line crosses over the red line. That's generally but it's not a big deal. And the reason why I'm saying it's not a big deal is because it's trading in a very tight range, okay? So as it's getting closer to that RSI, to the bottom of that 30, then it becomes a little bit more attractive to buy. So at this stage, okay, it may have some downwards momentum, but it looks like it's pretty much petered out. Now, looking at crude oil. Now, we did hit $81 a barrel, almost $82 yesterday, and just touching it, we're at $79.25, so a nice rebound there, okay, in terms of the pricing moving down. Okay, this did hit resistance-ish area, and it is trading in a range, so keep that in mind as that's still unfolding. Now, looking at the U.S. market, starting out with the Dow Jones, it did sell off. Not much, 200 to 300 points yesterday, so it's not like a big sell-off, okay, that we saw like, I don't know, 600-700 points, right? But it did sell off, okay? Now, we're going to go look at the stocks individually. However, the NASDAQ did sell off much more aggressively, and this is why it becomes more interesting, because remember, it's the NASDAQ that represents the tech stocks, and the tech stocks were the ones that were leading us higher, and if they're the ones that are going to be selling off, so it might mean that the rest of the market's going to sell off also. So let's just jump straight into it. Now, the NASDAQ now trading at 15,387, off of that 5,900-ish level after making a double top. Okay, now that's significant because we're breaking that 30-day moving average. However, we are sitting at previous resistance, subsequent support, so this may still rebound today, especially because we have Apple, Amazon, and Alibaba publishing their quarterly earning reports, and if those reports come out positive, then this is going to be another story. Okay, now jumping into the particular stocks, okay, let's jump into Facebook, which sold off relatively, okay, from its highs of 324. NVIDIA also sold off quite aggressively. This was one that took the biggest dive from 468 down to 442. That's significant. Now looking at Apple today ahead of the words, it did sell off, okay? And it does look like it's flattening out from its nice trend line and kind of topping out here, okay, as opposed to holding this area. Let's take a look at it. As opposed to holding this area, this kind of slope is kind of, you can see it, it's kind of flattening out here, okay, as opposed to continuing our ascent, which I would have thought that it would have held it. Now this doesn't mean that it broke it for sure and it's going to, sell off aggressively, but after today's number we'll have some more clarity with it, okay, in terms of which way the markets are going to absorb Apple. Now jumping into JP Morgan, also sold off a little, but you see the difference between the tech stocks and some of the old school stocks. JP Morgan did gain nicely throughout the year. It did sell off, but not big, okay? So this may still seem like it's just profit taking. At least, someone's just looking for a reason to sell it off, and the downgrades just came at a focal point, and that is generally what happens in the market. So, this is not like, we're back into recession headspace, okay? This does still look positive for us moving forward. This is Razak. I want to wish everybody a great trading day. Thank you.